Recently watched an interview of Zia Yusuf on ITV, that morning show. Don't remember the name. I do see it every now and then. Um, and it was about immigration and how, uh, not labor, reform wants to deport the illegal migrants that are mostly working age men. And they were questioning him about sending them back to Afghanistan. First, it started with women, and he's like, well, actually, less than 1% of them were women. You know, and that says a lot. And then it kind of evolved into something else to where the guy asked the question was, what if the man who sent him back was gay? Which I think is a legitimate question to ask. I don't think he's being funny or nothing. I just wanted to see what his answer was to that. And Yusuf says, well, my priority is the British people and what's best for the British people. And allowing people to come in illegally um, doesn't benefit the UK, basically, in so many words. I'm paraphrasing, I'm not getting exact. And he kept repeating that question. And then Yusuf gave him examples of how Germany and other countries don't differentiate, they just send them back. And he also said Nigel Farage can't be held responsible for every despotic country. That's all true. But he kept asking the question. And I always thought I was there. It was like when you're in school and you're raising your hand going, I got the answer, I got the answer. And the issue with asking that question is really simple. And remember, if people are coming in illegally, if there's a legal way to do something, someone who's inclined to do illegal activity is going to overexploit that. I.e., when people come in illegally, there's going to be a higher percentage of people that will be willing to do criminal things because that environment is where it's conducive to that kind of behavior. They're going to notice that. They're going to take advantage of that. So you would get a higher proportion of them that would be people that would potentially be a higher risk to the population they're moving into. The thing is, those countries that they were talking about, Afghanistan, speaking about it, they were saying they're not open minded about that. They don't believe in that those types of things, and we'll keep it simple as that. And they wouldn't have the same rights they would here. And the problem with saying, oh, if the person is gay, they can't go back to Afghanistan or Iraq or places like that, is in the question itself. He asked, well, if the person's telling you that they are, and that it's just them giving you the information that they're telling you, first of all, you're saying a lot there. You're saying you're trusting someone you don't know, that you don't know anything, very little about in the first place. And secondly, remember when I said that if there's an element of where you can get away with something, that people that are criminal minded will? Like, if they know millions of illegal migrants are coming in, someone who's criminal minded would exploit that because they would see it as an opportunity because they would fall into the mix. Well, that's the problem with the question itself when you think about it. See, the problem with that question is if criminals and people that are willing to do illegal activities notice things like that, if all you have to do is tell a story and say that you are homosexual, then you would find, if that was the way to stay, that's what a lot of people would say. Especially people that are higher risk people. You see, I kind of agree with Nigel Farage on that you can't be responsible for every despotic country. He has to be responsible for the nation he's governing. And to simply say, we're going to take your word for it, a person you don't know can say anything. You don't know them. You need some credibility. They need to go through processes. They need to be vetted. And Yusuf is like shaking up that narrative. He didn't say what I just said, but I guess to me, maybe he thought it was a given that if you say that, then just a bunch of people start saying they're gay. Maybe that oversimplifies it, but that's what would happen. Because what would they have to lose? If they say that, you can't send them back, right? That's what people would start saying. How do you prove that a person is that way unless they tell you? That's the only way you know, if they tell you in their behaviors. And if somebody you never met, you just got to take their word for it. And at the end of the day, if you haven't vetted the person, you can't just simply take their word for it. Everything we do within the society we live in, even in this country, there's certain things that give you credit, from your driving license, your work experience, where you went to school, the people you know. There's things to give credit to you so people know you are you and believe what you're saying and what you're going to do. We do that to ourselves. Why wouldn't we expect that same standard to someone coming in that you've never met? That's why you have vetting processes. And if people are coming in illegally, they're skipping past that. And that's essentially the problem. You don't know who they are. Nothing wrong with immigration. Just follow the procedure of the country you're going to. I don't understand why that's complicated or wrong. I think that's a good way. How else can you protect your citizens? The whole idea of being in the country is the country's supposed to protect you. And by knowing who's coming in is a form of security. You go to clubs, there's security. You go to events, there's security. Hell, the Grammys had security while they were saying, well, no one's illegal on stolen land. Well, one person said that. And that person lives in a gated house on like million their home is worth millions. On land that belonged to a different group before Americans were there. The Tongva tribe to be exact. They even said they haven't heard nothing from that person. But you get my drift. See, people, it's actually not chess. It's actually checkers. It's a simple concept. It's just the media spin is they want to tug on your emotional heartstrings instead of getting you to see what is really going on. And unfortunately, there's a group of people that want to open your mind, and there's a group of people that benefit from you having a closed mind. And they're always at odds with each other. And it's going to be like that. It's always been like that, and it still is. Y'all take care.